Hello students, welcome to SRIRAM's IAS. In this video, we will be discussing the main concept of our Indian economy, and in this series in which we are discussing economy from basics to advanced. The main objective of this series is to simplify economy for you all. In order to understand the complex topics in simple language, we have started this series. Now, let's understand today's topic, which is how does the market equilibrium actually work? And what actually is this market equilibrium? How is it actually working? So before we start the concept, I just want to announce here that on this Independence Day, SRIRAM's IAS is celebrating with the whole nation, and we are offering great offers. Like on all the courses, there are offs provided up to 25%, which you can avail by just contacting our counselors on these numbers, on this number particularly, or you can visit our website also, and you can get yourself enrolled in any of the course for UPSC with a huge off on it. Now, let's understand what actually is this market equilibrium. Now, do you recall yourself visiting a market or purchasing anything for your own self, whether it was milk or whether it was your daily product, whether it was a pizza or whether it was just window shopping? You all might understand that there is a particular difference. Once we go to a retail shop, we ask them for a particular product, say toothpaste. There is a price mentioned on that product, and we have to pay that price, and that product we will get. And leaving this aside, we can also have one more example of just roadside clothes, in which we usually do a lot of bargain. Here, what happens in this roadside bargain is that once the demand and price matches each other, once the demand and price of the product matches each other, then only the transaction happens. What happens is transaction. Once one transaction happens, we also need to understand that this whole market is not there just because of one transaction. It is there because there are a lot of consumers, there are a lot of producers. So in this market, what is actually happening is there is supply of products and there is demand of these products. But both supply and demand, both is somehow regulated by price, because this price motivates the producer for production, because this price for producer is profit, and this price for a consumer who satisfies his demand or who satisfies his need or want is the main determinant. The main determinant for what? For his want to get satisfied. So therefore, price for consumer determines its utility of the consumption, and this price for a producer determines his profit maximization. Therefore, there are three factors which actually work in this market equilibrium. Okay. What are these three factors? One is price, another is supply, and third one is demand. What actually is happening in market equilibrium? That the quantity which a producer supplies in the market is equal to the quantity which is demanded in the market. When this supplied quantity and demanded quantity equals each other, then only the market will clear itself. Therefore, if you recall yourself that we used to study the demand curve and the supply curve. In the demand curve and the supply curve, there were two basic determinants. One was the quantity demanded and the price, and in the supply curve, it was the quantity supplied and the price. We read that demand curve is usually downward sloping and supply curve is usually upward sloping. Why so? Because once the price increases, once there is more price, the demand will decrease. And if the price decreases, the demand will increase. But in supply, what happens is, if the price increases, the quantity supplied will also increase. Therefore, if there was less price, quantity supplied was less. If there is more price, quantity supplied is more. In order to understand that, where does the point actually exist where this quantity demanded and quantity supplied will match each other and market will clear itself? How to define that is basically very simple. That is, this is price and this is the overall demand in the market. Therefore, in this market, there should be a particular point where the consumers, producers will get satisfied by the quantity which is there present in the market, which has been supplied to the market on a particular price, and the quantity demanded in the market on that particular price is equal to each other. That is, if a product, say toothpaste, is supplied in the market at a price of 30 rupees, this leads 30 consumers of this toothpaste to have it. The quantity demanded is 30. Therefore, all the firms who can produce, including their own profit, who can produce this toothpaste on 30 rupees, they will sell 30 products in the market. Therefore, the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied will match each other. But after some days, what happens actually is, the price of this toothpaste increases. Why is the price increasing? There could be multiple factors behind this. Suppose the price of this toothpaste got 50 rupees. Now, if the price increases, the supply will also increase. Therefore, the supply will also increase. Now, the supply in the current market is around 50 products, but the demand of this market is currently 30 products only. So therefore, there is an excess product or excess supply in the market, and this excess supply is how much? यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक. How much is this? 20 products. These 20 products are there in the market which are excess in supply. Therefore, what will happen with this? This will create a downward pressure on the price. Why downward pressure on the price? Because these firms will see that eventually the product which we are selling into the market has only few customers and no one is buying it. So in order to sell it more, in order to sell the excess supply of the market, they will have to decrease their price. Very simple. Now, there is one more condition, and that condition is that if the price of this product gets decreased, how much will it decrease? To rupees 10 only. If the price of this product gets decreased to rupees 10, what will happen to demand? Demand will increase. How much demand will increase? This much. Say that there is a demand of 60 products now, because the price has decreased from 30 to 10. So till this time there were some consumers who were not consuming this product. They were just using traditional miswak. Okay? But now they have decided that they will also shift to toothpastes. Why? Because the price of toothpaste has decreased to 10 rupees. Now in this case, what will happen? There will be excess demand in the market. Which excess demand will be there? Because actually this market had only 30 products, but this market demands 30 more products. So there is an excess demand in the market. That is 30 products. Excess demand, but yes, there is one more thing. That is shortage in the market. Shortage of what? Shortage of supply. Why? Because in order to understand this, firms who were earlier selling this product at 30 rupees won't be selling it now. Why? Because the price has decreased. With the decrease in price, there will be decrease in supply. How much supply will be there? Only 10 products. So therefore, there will be actually shortage in the market. There will be shortage of products in the market. This shortage of products, once it happens, it means that now there are enough people who have money in their pocket and they are chasing very few goods. If there are very few goods which are being chased by too many people, this will lead to another condition, that is inflation, which means that this will put upward pressure on the price. It will again hit the price back to the equilibrium level. That is why we say that this equilibrium point is such a point in the market where market balances itself. Where market balances itself with the invisible hands. What is this invisible hand? That is what we will be discussing in the next video. Till then, I wish that you will revise this concept, you will learn this concept, and you will see that wherever does this market equilibrium actually fit in. You can see, whenever you go to market, you start bargaining with that person who is selling anything in the market, whether that is clothes, whether that is any roadside product. You will say that I can pay you 100 rupees or I can pay you 50 rupees or I can pay you this much amount. If this bargain strikes a balance, then only the transaction happens, and that is what happens in market. If there is excess supply or if there is excess demand or if there is shortage in supply, all of this will together combine and put in forces to balance the price, demand and supply. Then will this point be struck, that is called market equilibrium. With this, we conclude today's discussion. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead. Jai Hind.